How are you? Welcome back, Rush Limbaugh, EIB Network, Limbaugh Institute. Advanced Conservative Studies on Friday.
And now, from sunny South Florida, it's Open Line Friday.
Yip, yahoo. This is your golden opportunity. If you're a kook, you want to be on the radio, this is your day. It's the one day of the week where we hear a kook, we don't hang up and move on. We say, what do you want to talk about? Well, that's it, because it's the whole point of Open Line Friday. You don't have to talk about anything I care about. It can be whatever you're interested in. Monday through Thursday has to be something I care about. That's the rule, but not on Friday. 800-282-2882, the email address, lrushbo@eibnet.com. So I got a very thought-provoking note. And I'm sure, by the way, that this note is going to reflect the way a whole lot of you feel. It's an interesting think piece. Dear Rush, don't you think that when the government has as its purpose the destruction of the institutions that promote the kind of society we've had in the past, when the government buys off more people to the point where they outnumber the rest of us, the country cannot survive as a free country. We can't survive as a free people. It's not just Hispanics, blacks, Asians, etc. More and more whites are getting caught up in this. It's a huge problem. It's hard to fix. And as Buchanan's piece points out, we already knew it. The big blue states demonstrate it. And the big blue cities in the big blue states, in many cases, illustrate it. Now let's take a look at Buchanan's piece. Let's focus on California. It's a great example. You know, the thing about it is I love California. Every time, I used to live there. I lived in Sacramento for 3.5 years. I have a lot of friends in Southern California, and every time I'm out there, I absolutely love it. Now, I don't pay their taxes, and I don't live there, but, and how do I say this? Because I don't dispute anything Buchanan said about this, but first time I was in California was 1985. And every time I've been back since, it looks the same. Places I go in California look the same. The things that I do there are the same. And yet, I know that the state is a mess. And I talk to my friends who live in California and say, you know what's coming? Your tax base, your tax rate's all ready for you know what's coming? All of my friends wouldn't even think of leaving. Now, most of them are in the media business, and it's a media capital, Southern California, and all their friends are there. And yet there are people leaving left and right. It kind of goes to my point earlier. We hear all this talk about, well, we see Greece, that's us, and you see Spain, that's us. But a lot of people don't see us that way. And therefore, they've never have seen the U.S. that way. And even if they look at blue states or blue cities that have fallen apart, they still don't look at the country that way. Because in their minds, it really hasn't happened. So all these warning clarions about where we're headed, people don't see any sign of it. And one of the reasons they don't is there's this benevolent government ready to pick up the slack in case you fall on hard times. But there's no denying that the government, and particularly this administration, no denying that they are destroying the institutions that promote the kind of society we have in the past. Let me talk about this business with Chick-Fil-A and Chicago and Boston. I personally am in stunned disbelief over the reaction to this on conservative blogs. What do we have? We have two mayors who are essentially Stalinist, who have had no problem whatsoever, that not one problem at all with going before the microphones and telling an American business, you are not welcome here, and if you come here, you will be penalized or whatever the hell will happen. All because the guy who owns the outfit happens to be a publicly professed Christian who believes that marriage has a specific definition. Now, this is a classic example of a government destroying an institution that has promoted the kind of society we have had in the past and a kind of society we've always wanted. This is direct assault. That's a direct assault on Christianity. That is a direct assault on Christians, with economic punishment thrown in, including threats from government officials that are in clear violation of the Constitution. And I read about it on conservative blogs, and I can't believe what I'm reading. I'm reading intellectual treatises on, well, you know, they have the right to say these things, and the solution here is let Chick-Fil-A open a store in Chicago and let's see if the people will visit. That's not the reaction to... The reaction to have is, who the hell do you think you are, Rahm Emanuel? Who the hell do you think you are? What country do you think you're in? Now, we want to have an intellectual debate here over the First Amendment. Well, a solution to this is to let Chick-fil-A open it. Yeah, let Chick-fil-A open a store with the mayor of Chicago threatening anybody that walks into one. Meanwhile, this company hires gays. They serve gays. They don't discriminate. It's just that the owner happens to be a publicly professed witnessing Christian. My God, you would think that he's the worst enemy Chicago ever had, and the worst enemy Boston ever had. 30 years ago, if this would have happened in this country, there would have been an uprising against Menino and Rahm Emanuel, or Daley, whoever would have done it. Today we get intellectual debates on who's got the right to do what and say this and do that, do what, where. The sense of proportion is all out of whack and there's no outrage. So yeah, I fully understand losing institutions. We're sitting by and we are watching every day the institutions and traditions that have made this country great come under assault. Day in and day out. And I've been making that comment for 24 years. Too much of all of this has become nothing more than an opportunity for people to show how smart they are, how open-minded they are when these debate these things, rather than having an actual human, real-life reaction to this, which this is outrageous. The mayor of San Francisco. What is his name? I think his last name is Lee. The mayor of San Francisco got in on this. And he warned Chick-fil-A, you better not come here. You had better keep out of, you'd better stay. I am in stunned disbelief. A restaurant chain that serves chicken sandwiches is a threat that cannot be abided. Meanwhile, I have a story in the stack here today, and on some of the Bay Area rapid transit escalators are human feces. People are defecating on the escalators, and the mayor of San Francisco wants everybody to know that he's not going to permit any damn Christians in town. Edwin Lee is the guy's name. He wants everybody. He wants every San Franciscan to understand that he's not going to put up with any Christians coming to town. And as long as he does that, people can defecate all over the BART escalators all they want, and it won't matter because the Christians are going to be kept out of town. No, I'm not saying Christian country, but we can't deny. Go back and look at anything George Washington ever said. First inaugural, last inaugural, farewell address, first Thanksgiving address. This whole country was put together with thanks every day to God. Blessings every day to God. One of the very foundations of this country's founding is under daily assault by one of the two popular political parties in this, the Democrat Party. I have a story here in the stack. Fewer people can identify Obama's religion than Romney's. Fewer than 50% of people in this country believe Obama's a Christian. That means something that we wouldn't have a president. Why is it? Well, I don't think. If you go back and you listen to pick a speech at an appropriate period of time from any president you want, except Woodrow Wilson, throw him out. Even FDR, you can't escape presidents quoting the Bible, reading passages from it, thanking God. This guy doesn't. He gives no indication he's familiar with it. No, I'm not saying he's not a Christian. Please don't listen to what I'm saying. Snurdly asked me, why don't at least 50% think he's a Christian? He doesn't sound like one. That's as far as it goes. I don't know what they think he is. The story I have doesn't talk about what they think he is, and that's not the point of what I'm saying. I'm talking about the really cultural, transformational changes that have occurred throughout the country just in the last 24 years that I've been doing this, but it's been going on for much, much longer than that. Oh, I'm told Woodrow Wilson quoted the Bible all the time. Well, that's even better for the point. You can't find it here. It's not. It's not part of this president's experience. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's an acknowledgement of what is. But I have been fascinated. I don't mean to be redundant here, but I have been fascinated to watch the reaction to Rahm Emanuel and Thomas Menino threaten something that's unconstitutional, threaten something that is illegal, and just so blatantly do so on the basis of you would think that the vast majority of people in the country are gay, and you would think that gay marriage is the only marriage there is, and that these guys at Chick-Fil-A represent 2% of the country, and as such represent a threat. These Democrats have to do some of the most perverted things to appeal to their base that I have ever seen in politics. They have to say, they have to do, they have to promise, they have to engage. Rahm Emanuel to the murdering gangsters in Chicago. Leave the kids alone. Take your murderous activity somewhere else. Not stop your murderous activity. Just take it somewhere, leave our kids alone. What a caring guy. Oh, man, our mayor is really compassionate. He really loves the kids. So, yeah, the government, all-out assault on the institutions that promote the kind of society that we have, and buying people off left and right. And California is a microcosm. That's Buchanan's whole point. You want to see America down the road, look at California in terms of party politics. Let me take a brief time out here, my friends. It's Open Line Friday, and we'll come back and throw you in the mix of all this. Still working on my iPad, trying to get LTE since I just turned it on, so I'll do that and be back and join you just a second.